seeker, we are doing Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. Basically, we are understanding, and then we will follow what is Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. These are the three highest steps, so you can see the practices. And before that, there has to be an intense desire. Intense desire for freedom, for permanent happiness, for awakening. But now see, there is a catch here. I have an intense desire, one thing, and if it is not supported by the will inside, what will happen? That will be taken over by Rajasic and Tamasic desires. So, intention, aspiration, intense desire for freedom is one thing, but what is happening deeper inside my mind, I do not know. I wake up in the morning for doing meditation practice and the mind goes somewhere. Oh, let us, maybe I will do it after an hour, and after an hour I forget it. Or maybe I had some conflict with my honey, and so no, my mood is not okay, and I will not do it. So for that, that is why in fourfold practices we have the six treasures. Check yourself. Is your mind in the state of the calmness? Can you withdraw yourself from the outer world? Just check it and recognize if you are not dictated and influenced by the outer world, people, relationship, etc. One guy, I gave him the practice and he says, you type all the time, and so it disturbs me. I don't type. It is very clear, but it has been happening in the last almost 3 and 4 sessions. So I'm going to say that you are a victim of your own mind. So why you are paying attention to that tick tick, even if it is there? I checked, it is not there. So because of that, we need these six treasures. But if these six treasures are not with us, then it becomes very challenging for us to, then it disrupts my listening and learning. It also disrupts my contemplation and reflection. But these six treasures will only come when we live in the state of dispassion. And the dispassion will only come when I live in the state of viveka. A constant. Be a scientist in the world that every time you find the cause and effect, you are getting a pleasure by eating something. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I like this food. Okay. So because I like this food, and that is why I'm eating, because I like my real self. That should be the attitude all the time, because I love myself, I like my real self. Is there some disturbances? Do you feel it? No? Let me mute it here if you have to ask any question. So you see that is what the discernment. I should live my life in this discernment, viveka. Why? Instantly I should become aware of the cause and effect relationship. Is anything outside responsible for my sorrow and suffering? Answer is no. But it doesn't happen so easily. It does not happen so easily. So then you can do Kundalini meditation. And we are already doing these practices of meditation, regular meditation. So, and then what happens, or any practices, it includes the Hatha Yoga practices. Maybe if you are doing some breathing asanas, that is okay. So we should keep those practices always in the background. Say if you are totally a sedentary, we all have a sedentary lifestyle. So it is better to activate and do some physical practices, maybe for a few minutes, some breathing, and never. One thing important that Krishna also says, japa. Pick up, never feel, never leave the Om Namah Shivaya japa, maybe for 15 minutes, half an hour, and see the days when you can absorb yourself into that Om Namah Shivaya, even for an hour. So that is going to help our areas of the mind that causes and manifest in lot of challenges outside. Why I discuss this, that in Shravan means it is a systematic, it is structured, it is organized, it is a long-term listening and learning from a teacher. You have done your engineering, it's a 5-year or 4-year course. So obviously it is structured, it is organized, it is systematic study. So we are simply understanding what is Shravanam. Then once we start with the Shravanam, here are the topics we have to cover. So at present, that is very important, that there is a systematic, structured, organized, long-term listening and learning from a teacher. What happens? I have repeated, so you have to contemplate on that. Satasangatve nesasangatvam. Do you remember? By listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, you will discover that detachment now entering into your head. So you were upset with something, with your honey, but now you don't get upset. Now your routine is regular. You keep on wake. You find your mind says, no, I have to wake up and do the practice, come what may. So a sense of detachment comes. And with that sense of detachment from nirmo, satasangatve nesasangatve nirmohatvam, so a kind of dispassion now enters. So you have to analyze in your life what you were upset before. Now you don't get upset. Even these events or conditions are happening in my life. That is one of the most important benefit of listening and learning. If it is not happening, then we have to keep that Om Namah Shivaya, some physical practices, some breathing, continue. Don't leave that. Don't leave that until we reach to a state where still we can continue for the physical fitness. We should keep it. So maybe you like the breathing, keep on doing it. Because you like the breathing, and breathing is going to help the mind. So it's okay. It's a part of that needs to be understood, so that the Shravanam continues with the clarity. So what is happening, that you are listening more or less, these principles. Sometimes I repeat these principles, and these principles will settle in your mind. You wake up in the morning, you remember those principles, and the natural contemplation and reflection starts. Many examples. Mind is overwhelmed with someone. Mind is constantly repeating a thought that, no, I have to talk to this guy, he's crazy. We normally do not become aware. And that thought multiplies. And when that guy comes, we react. That is a part of so what happens in the contemplation, you recognize, these thought patterns are coming from somewhere deep inside me. I have not practiced the 6 treasures. I have not done the dispassion. I have not done the vivek. So we should see those challenges to reach to a state where the mind says, I'm not worthy of suffering. I'm not at all worthy of suffering. I'm not made for the suffering. Suffering belongs to the false I. That is what the natural steadiness of the mind is. Because mind is not going there. Mind is not getting carried away by those thoughts. And it happens because of the contemplation and reflection. Contemplation and reflection helps us to remove that ignorance. And settled in the knowledge is what the nididhyasana, the 3rd step is. You have to remain aware of that. And I will remind you, by constant listening and learning, what happens, mind remains from one thought to the other thought. So in that thought, there is an object to object movement. We move from one object to the second object. That happens in the beginning. Because when we start the Shravanam on the particular topic, but we are understanding the what exactly is the satsang or listening and learning. So object to object. So what happens by constant listening and learning? Now your mind reflects object to subject. Object to subject. First is the object to object. Now it is object to subject. Oh, my honey is crazy. So my mind focused on the object to her. Why she is crazy? Because my mind wrongly gives the reason to me. So I remain on the object to object. See. And now you have the same thought. Now object to the subject. Object is outside, subject is what I have to do. It is her nature, it is his nature. Let me leave it. Let me see in what way I can speak and express and see that my problems are resolved. Object to subject. I believe you are getting it. So that is what happens at a very subtler level. You are constant listening and learning. That is what happens in any discipline outside also, whether we are doing engineering or medicine. So mind removes those wrong notions and then it focuses on the cause and effect relationship. And that is why there the understanding comes. And that is why we get rid of unnecessary, unwanted thoughts easily. Easily. So there are three movements: object to object in Shravanam, then we have object to subject, and then subject to subject. Real self to real self. I discussed about the impure mind cannot realize the real self. Only a qualified mind realizes the real self. And the third statement, the intellect illumines the real self. So now in that intellect there is nothing but the real self is there. Now that real self in the reflected consciousness ultimately recognizes the real self. That is the importance of these three higher steps of listening and learning, means satsang, contemplation and reflection, and ultimately nididhyasana also means the practice. So what happens in the contemplation and manan, which is known as, your mind naturally rejects moving from one object to the object. I'm terribly disturbed because of this situation, because of that situation, that is gone. Now the mind goes inside, object to the subject. Real self is not meant to be disturbed, not to be reactive. Oh, the mind goes deeper and it is absorbed into meditation. This is what happens. So this is what a typical way of I love you. Instead, I love real self. That is why I love you. Again, it is subjective experience. I love pasta. Instead, I love myself. That is why I like and love pasta. See that? See. So that thought is a product of knowledge we discussed about. Thought is equal to object of knowledge. Do you still remember? That's why I'm reminding you. Object of knowledge, knowledge about an object, reflected consciousness plus consciousness. So now you see, I love pasta, instead I love myself. That is why I like and love pasta. Done. Now it is a subjective awareness. Finished. Finished. So this kind of a contemplation, this kind of a thought appears to you, it reveals in you when we move from Shravan to Manan. Manan, see, you're listening, you listen 10 minutes and close it. And then now ask the questions. What you have listened? What is the principle talking about? Can I apply it? What happened yesterday? Some event took place. Now everything is going fine. Then listen to the 10 minutes again and see the principle. So that is what the solitude is. That is what that you are. That is what, and that solitude we can do anytime, even for 10 minutes and 15 minutes. Let me recall. Oh, this is what the statement is. I love pasta. Instead, I love myself. That is why I like and love pasta. I love myself. That is why I like my honey and I love my honey. Then the mind says, where is the real self? So mind is now naturally focused. It has moved from the objective to the subjective side. And it happens. In many incidences, it happens. Sometime even in business, professional life, we start thinking and contemplating, oh, let me see in what way I should take this business to the next level. And then you get a couple of ideas and you start implementing them. That is what the contemplation is. It's not a big deal. But here it is a systematic, where otherwise people, what the people do, they go to they say, let me go for a retreat, 7 days solitude with my smartphone, with my laptop. And now I'm doing the same thing in the retreat what I'm doing in my normal life. So sometimes people say, I will leave everything. That woman, she is a corporate CEO of some company. She resigned and she was talking to me. I left for a life mission. I said, okay, why? So that left idea is a reaction in the mind that I'm not satisfied. At the same time, I have a clarity that I have enough money to survive. That's why I left it. So I have everything intact, and then I'm going for a life mission. So I'm going for a life mission in the objective world, which will never happen. Do whatever you want to. I told him frankly, and then I know she did not return. I know that she will not return. I have to be truthful to the Eastern wisdom. I have to be truthful to my master. Why should I be truthful to anyone? You accept it, it's okay. You don't accept, so continue. You will struggle, and ultimately, once you recognize this is what, it has nothing to do with outside. It has nothing to do with that I'm the victim of the situation outside. This is another benefit of Shravanam and the Manana. Then I'm not running away from the world. I recognize the very running and the wandering mind. I check that mind, and that mind comes down. It happens because of the Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti. Shat Sampatti. So this master says, we are talking about this great master. He says that contemplation does not happen immediately. So we need not to be disturbed. Sometimes we are fully busy in our physical and professional activities. So even after listening, I don't have a time of contemplation. No, I escape contemplation. We have to recognize that mind which escapes the contemplation. I have time for half an hour, yes, let me contemplate. Mind escapes. Mind wants to keep itself busy in the outer world. And that is how we waste our time. We have to get rid of this. We have to find it, okay, let me find out half an hour of contemplation at the professional place. Now let me sit in contemplation. I have to do nothing. Let me contemplate. I have heard these principles, how many principles I remember, and let me think it over. The way we think about the business, oh, this is the project and that is how, that is also a part of the contemplation. We have to remember. Then only, so what happens, those practices which we do for hours and years together can be reduced to just by contemplation. That is what this master is talking about. We are attached in the world, we will lose focus. and you escape the contemplation. Because if I'm attached, I keep on thinking about those things. My honey is not listening, not listening. Why you are insisting that she should or he should listen to you? Through the contemplation, I get this thought. Why I am insisting? And she is also insisting, or he is also insisting, that you are not taking care of him and her. And I'm insisting that you are not understanding. So we both are in the same boat. It means, I don't have that higher level of awareness. So I ask myself that why I'm insisting. Whenever the opportunity comes, I will talk about it. I will keep my mind free from it. Finished. From the word, whether it's a honey means mother and father and parents with whom we are living, with a daughter, with employees, with outer situation. That is another clarity comes by the manan. Patanjali in the third chapter, yes, Patanjali in the third chapter says, Desha bandhasya chitasya dharana. The mind is confined within a territory. What is that territory? Territory of the real self here. Now the mind has no way to think about others, and constantly engaged in constantly thinking and reacting internally, and that reaction is expressed outside. So Patanjali says that we have 3 steps of meditation. You can say pre-meditation, that is dharana, normally translated as a focus. So we have a misunderstanding that what is focus. No, I have to focus on Shiva, I have to focus on this mantra. No. It comes naturally because of the fourfold practices. And most important is constant listening and learning. Now the mind has replaced the thought pattern. So there is a natural sense of awareness about no, I have to find the real self in this situation, in that situation, in this relationship. So Patanjali, obviously, those practices also help that you focus on the Shiva, you focus on a particular object, you do the tratak. You already know it, tratak. We focus on the mantra, or we focus on the geometrical designs known as the yantras. Yes. So the beauty I recognize, and that is why you see almost in every meditation, I gave in one step, I divide into many steps. Focus inside the forehead in the space. You are aware of that space. Pick a point in that space. That is second level of awareness. If you miss one, you will not miss the second. Then I say, just drop Om Namah Shivaya or Shantoham there. And then I say, no. Even if you miss all the 3, I say, keep on doing the quick and gentle breath. Did you see a lot of steps, I incorporate in one step, so that your mind stops wandering. Sometimes what happens, you keep on doing the Om Namah Shivaya and other part of the mind is already thinking. So I say, no, you have to do the breathing. No, you have to look at a point. So that way we help our mind to reach to that state of natural steadiness, because now there is an expansion of the mind. In that mind, I'm aware of lot of things at the same time. The way I'm aware of when I'm driving, I'm aware of the rear mirror, front and the back and lane. So I don't allow the mind to go back. That is what the concentration in yoga. Concentration in yoga is not that forcefully I'm forcing my mind to focus on a particular object or a mantra. That results comes naturally in Shravan. Now your thinking pattern has changed. So your thought pattern has realized the attachment, and it has a kind of devotion. It has kind of an emotional attachment with the real self. Natural steadiness comes. Natural steadiness comes. What we recognize that is our pattern. What is that pattern? I rephrase it. What is that rephrase? Uh, wandering mind, wandering monkey, or no, jumping monkey is the happy mind. That is what we understand. So, because the way we are brought up and conditioned in the society, we say if the mind keeps on thinking from one object to second object to the third object until I fall into sleep, I wake up in the morning, I have the same repeated thoughts. That is what I think. The wandering mind is a happy mind. To change that happy mind, not only I have to do all those practices, but understand the significance of Shravanam and Mananam. That was the 25th topic. So 26th topic is Nididhyasana, means the practice. Patanjali says that you remove all the thoughts and there is a state of self-absorption. So your mind is fully aware if there is any thought coming and going, and many people have complained that my mind does not live into the highest state of meditation, and they consider the highest state of meditation is you remove all the thoughts. So who will recognize that you have removed all the thoughts? There has to be another thought. One thought says, now I have no thought, but you have already spoken, so there is a thought. So Patanjali, even though after he said, that is why he explains 10 or 11 different types of samadhi. Then he explains different. So he takes to another journey. So here what happens, there is a flow of the thought is still there and I'm not distracted. Consciousness is different from the thought. That understanding comes from the contemplation. I'm speaking to you, I'm talking and thinking, and still there is a consciousness behind if I'm aware. So there is a continuous flow. Or even if the flow breaks, it hardly matters. It hardly matters. So that state of awareness comes even from the Patanjali teaching, but that is why they have explained 11 or 12 different types of samadhi, higher meditation. They say nirvikalp samadhi, savikalp samadhi, savi samadhi, nirvi samadhi. They have also discussed about dharmic samadhi, and ultimately they say final stage that you are awakened to the real self. So in Nididhyasana, here we are free from the idea that I should remove all the thoughts. I should examine, I should find the cause of it. So if the cause is objective, I remove the objective cause. How? By understanding. Can you get peace by forcing your honey to follow you? No. So now you have understanding. So but should I drop honey? No. For such a small reason, why should you leave honey? Now you see every cause and effect. Your thought is complete. Cause and effect relationship, you complete the thought process. You have completed the thought process, now you are free. The mind is not running after your honey. We'll talk in detail about it. So basically what many masters say is that Nididhyasana, we use the word in this journey of yoga of knowledge, and many masters say it is not different from the samadhi Patanjali talks about, but at a last, almost second last day, not in the beginning. In the beginning we have to struggle that there should not be a no thought. So chances are there I fall into hallucination. So there is no thought, there are many images and visions. There are many colors, so I get attached to the colors. So there has to be a nirvikalp samadhi. Now you get rid of those colors. I told you a couple of times, Ramakrishna Paramhans, he was absorbed with the Kali, goddess Durga. And he was feeling that still has to reach the highest. So he went to his master. His master name is Totapuri. Totapuri said that now you sit in meditation. The way the thought has created a vision of that goddess Kali. By another thought, you create a knife, a big sword, and cut the head of the goddess Kali. How can you reach to the objectless state? It is impossible. Ramakrishna said, okay, you sit down and I will do it. And he took a knife and he said, here is a Kali, and he scratched it. Now you visualize that you are also scratching and cutting the head of the goddess Kali to reach to the highest state of awakening. So those incidents are available to understand our nature. So only the real self is recognized and realized in that state. So that's why I named Savikalp. Savikalp means a meditation with an object. So if there is an object, there has to be a thought. How simple it is to understand. Nirvikalp means without any object, so without any thought. So that is why the Samadhi is divided into two parts, Savikalp and the Nirvikalp Samadhi. So what happens, you already have experienced both in Savikalp and Nirvikalp. Someday you are in meditation and you are totally absorbed and totally free from the outer world and the circumstances. That is just a flash of the Nirvikalp Samadhi. Only one thing, that it should continue for a longer period. So that is, we have covered the 26th topic. 27th topic, this master says, you already are aware of that we are talking in terms of the topic to reach to that higher state. So 27th topic, master says, what is the role of these three practices? What exactly is the role? You should be very clear. We should be very clear about the role of the Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana. We have reached to that state. You start from that, you were a person, you started doing Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, other practices, simple relaxation. Oh, I feel very relaxed and calm. Then you said, okay, what are the 4 qualifications to become a seeker? So there are, you can say 6 treasures are 6 practices, and Viveka Vairagya 7th, 8th, and the 9th is the intense desire for freedom, intense desire to awaken. So these are the 9 practices. Before these 9 practices, we have done a lot of practices, Hatha Yoga and others. And then comes the Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana. So now, what he is saying, that 3 topics, we have to understand what problem is removed by Shravana. This master discussed at length. And which problem of the mind is removed by Mananam, and which problem is removed by Nididhyasana. Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasana, the 3 steps. There comes the real answer. You should digest it, assimilate it completely. By constant listening, organized listening and learning, your mind or intellect removes the interpretational problems of these principles that we talk about. We just remove the interpretational problems. We don't apply the logic. In Shravana, we say here is the real self and here is the not real self. But in Mananam, we say why it is a false I, why it is a real I. And then we sit down in meditation, we say, oh, false I, reject. It does not exist. So I remain with the real I. That is how these three practices works. You see, you have to be very clear. I'm listening and learning, so listening is we are listening and learning, and then I sit down and then I am very clear about what exactly is the listening. I have done the manana. And then I have a clarity. I wake up in the morning and I find the same clarity continues in my life, in my personal life, in my professional life, in my social life. And the life changes. So what is happening now? You have to pay again attention. It is again explained that listening and learning helps you to resolve and remove the seeming internal contradictions. There appears many internal contradictions. My honey is not listening, that is why I am stressful. What it has to do with honey and what it has to do by creating a problem. So the internal thought process has to be changed. Then there is a greater problem also. Every religion says, my God is the supreme God. So we don't touch the religion, but by understanding these principles, we also resolve those issues. We are clear by the cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. So resolving the internal contradictions is the benefit or is the goal of the Shravanam. And resolving external contradiction means what is the internal contradictions and the problems that reflect outside can be resolved by Mananam. Again, you're in front of the honey, and the mind has the internal thought process. I hate this crazy honey. Now, the external contradictions are many because you have already contemplated. You don't allow the mind to live into that contradiction. You have to pay more attention. I will explain it in the future lessons also. And what is the meditation? Meditation resolves the subjective contradictions. That is why we say only the 3 steps are required. So the meditation resolves the subjective contradiction. No, I am the body. It resolves. Resolves or it dissolves? No. It has to do with the false side. No, today in meditation I had lot of thoughts. Oh, you became objective. Now the thoughts are there, but still you are not affected. Did you understand this point? Now today I practiced meditation and I had lot of crazy thoughts that disturbed my meditation. So I failed in meditation. Why? I have to remove that subjective contradiction. What do you mean? Those thoughts are not me and mine. That I did not realize it. So that is why I am saying I have a lot of thoughts. Do you see that? Do you see the point? No thought belongs to me. It belongs to the mind. It belongs to the false side. What I have to do with it? So this guy, I never said anything for the last 2 months. Today I'm going to say to him, tick, disturb, typing. What do you have to do with disturbance of the type? So we will understand also what are many external contradictions enters into our mind. What are the many internal contradictions enters into our mind, so that the moment I sit in meditation, all these contradictions are gone and only one thought is there. I am the real self. False I said this and I have reached to the real. That is what happens when we do the practice for 15 years or we simply understand it clearly. At least when you understand, your mind is engaged. The mind is engaged in the Eastern wisdom, it is not engaged in other stuff. For example, even after removing the internal and the external contradictions, now the mind says, I have one more issue. What is that issue? I get carried away by the pain and the pleasure in the body. My intellect has yet to be convinced that this is the body who has the pain, this is the mind that experiences the pain. So when I experience the pain and pleasure from the world outside, my mind covers the real self with an idea the world is real. Because I'm experiencing pain and pleasure. I'm experiencing hatred and jealousy. I'm experiencing likes and dislikes. That is resolved by meditation. So now you see how these three steps helps us. So now my clarity is that meditation will resolve these dualities, opposites. They pops up in my mind. That is why we say today I am totally self-absorbed. Do you see the clarity? Do you see the clarity? No pain and pain is there in the body, but then what? I'm not the body. So you continue. You continue the journey of meditation. Now what happens? The pain is still there, but the suffering is not there. That is caused by the mind. So you have changed the mind. That is the reason those polar bears live in hibernation continuously for 6 months. Are they not aware? They are aware. They are fully aware. Now see, I'm linking this meditation practice with the Shravanam. Shravanam, we discussed about, you listen from the right side of the heart. So in meditation, you are constant on the right side of the heart. Left side is dropped. Left side says, no, you have a problem. No, you have to go. So practice only for 10 minutes. Nothing happens in 10 minutes. So that clarity shines in the intellect, and that is explained in the Upanishads. So he has taken his teaching from the Upanishads. I told you, Upanishads are the main text. Otherwise, if they are not the main text, it means Vedas are the main text. So Vedas means how much? Maybe 100,000 verses are there. The lifetime will pass. So the masters have collected the Upanishads. Here are these, or out of those 108 Upanishads, there may be 10-15 Upanishads are principal Upanishads. And that can be studied and understood. But before that, I have to prepare myself where to go. So he refers from the Upanishads that this is what happens. My opposite feeling in the mind dissolves. I oppose the real self by having a pleasure in the world. I oppose the real self by experiencing the pain. Because I claim I am the pleasure, I claim that I am the pain. In both the cases, it is body and the mind. In both the cases, it is body and the mind. So once we move from Shravan, Manan, and then we start doing the practice, we resolve these issues in the mind by understanding. I need not to complain, I have a lot of thoughts, that's why I failed in meditation. I recognize I am none of these thoughts. One I thought, one is the I thought, and the rest is others thought. So I thought says I am in stress. Two part. I have become a thought. Because of I thought, I have become the body and the mind. Now the I thought says I have a pain. I have a pleasure. So that duality will be resolved by these three practices. 28th. 28th. Very important, I give you a brief of it. So the master says you are listening and learning regularly, internal challenges are resolved, you are doing the mananam constantly, external issues are resolved, you are doing the practice, you're doing the practice. Now those dualities and opposite feelings are now, to tell you frankly, for the last 2 days my that central air conditioning is gone. And here in US you have to take an appointment. So they have given an appointment today. So 2 days in a temperature when it is 40 and 42. So I said this is a good opportunity. Still I'm feeling my whole shirt is full of sweating. But it's okay, it's a part of the life, it's a part of the journey. So why should I take it negatively, but I should take it positively? Here is an opportunity, here is this knowledge, what the master is saying. We hear the master is saying. Topic number 28. Topic number 28 says, now everything is clear. Interpretational doubt, opposite feelings. Krishna says in a different way. Krishna says that I have to endure. Can you stop the hot weather? Can you stop the cold weather? Can you stop the, science claims too much, after a week the tsunami will come into this beach. I'm not convinced. Find out the cause of the tsunami and prevent it. Then I will say science has done something great. This is also great that you predict. You save the life. That's okay. That's a no, but you have not found the ultimate cause of this tsunami. Otherwise, you should have control. Prevent the ice to melt in Antarctica because of the climate change. So you are still confused whether it's a global warming and something else. There are many associated factors. Why I said so, when these contradictions about the real self is gone, mind is not attached. Mind knows I have to endure the opposites. Mind has no external contradictions and no internal contradictions. Then the master says, you are the real self, and the seeker says, I am the real self. It is realized. The way I say, which car you drive? Oh, this car you drive. So I understand it fully. I have no more questions to ask. Because the mind is so much pure and clear that it is absorbed. It is absorbed into the I am the real self. Now, moment I said you are the real self, you also say I am the real self, but after you say I am the real self, that false I is gone and you are already absorbed into that state of awakening, and it is awakening.
Okay, so what do we got going on? Oh, and so downstairs and upstairs is not meeting.
You hear some voice? That is gone. They have come. Why? Somebody is there to attend. This is known as direct knowledge of the real self. Master, we have a lot of doubts. We are just understanding these principles. So that is why we have the big statements. You are the real self. You receive as it is the way the teacher says, and then it is given an interpretation, I am the real self, mind is gone, reflected consciousness is gone, and you are the real self. That is the entire process. That is how the entire process of and listening and learning, contemplation, reflection, and a regular practice works. It helps. That is why you see that the tradition says you have to listen. Not only you have to study from the books. Yes, studying the books is okay. So Master says one more thing. There is a total absorption in the samadhi. In that state, the Master says, you are that, tattvamasi. The statement is, you are that. That means you are the real self. And your mind recognizes, I am the real self. The thought is gone. You are settled there. That is known as the direct knowledge. Now the intellect illumines the real self. This is the meaning. Otherwise, we have a question, as long as the intellect is there, how can the intellect recognize the real self? How can the moon recognizes the sunlight? No, not a possibility. But here we say the intellect says I am the real self. Intellect is gone now. Because in that state of self-absorption. And in that state of the self-absorption, you are recognized. So yes, by doing regularly, continuously, the time comes it becomes an irreversible process. What is irreversible? You already know in physics and chemistry. Now the mind does not return, it does not reverse it. It has a clarity about there the false eye is working, I have to work with the false eye. I have to talk about it. Then we recognize it is only the real self that reflects into the mind, becomes the reflected consciousness, creates a thought pattern, recognizes this is my personal, professional, social, and other life. It is constantly working, but behind that there is a real self. It is not the false eye. So the false eye is gone, ignorance is gone. So we'll have a complete freedom. What that freedom is, that too is, I will pick a couple of the things. There is no freedom from fear and the insecurity. So why we are doing all these practices, why you are listening to it. We recognize as such there is no freedom of insecurity. There is no fear as such. We recognize there is no dissatisfaction, there is no unhappiness. It is because of the false eye. As long as the false eye is working, it will be constantly clinging to fear of insecurity, dissatisfaction, unhappiness, because it continues with that thought pattern. It says, let me get something from outside. Means the desire, means the attachment, means the hesitation, means the entire cycle continues. So what helps? How it helps? So when the freedom, when there is I recognize that as such there is no insecurity. I recognize as such there are no dissatisfaction. As such there is no unhappiness. Same intellect recognizes I am not worthy of suffering. It is happening because of the ignorance. And if it is happening because of the ignorance, then what is left again? Go to the ultimate cause. I am left with the real self, which is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Now it is an irreversible process. Once awakened, always there. That is why we say awakened. We don't say waking up. That is why we say waking up. So little, uh, not difficult, but subtle talking. We have analyzed subtly. So go with that.